sure that you comment, share, like, and subscribe. That will definitely help my platform, help me with all the little seeds I'm planting grow and be seen by more people. Today in this video, we are continuing talking about the Ziyah Harris case. So I previously broke down Annette, Shannon, King, and Jarvis. Well, not really Jarvis, but you know, he has been sprinkled here and there. But today, I want to get into Ziyah. I saved her for last because, you know, if this case is about her, there's a lot of people surrounding this case that I kind of wanted to get into first. And I just wanted to save her for last because it's just such a sad story, and I just wanted to gather up my thoughts and really think about the message I wanted to relay about Ziyah. So we're just going to get into it. Once again, if you don't know who Ziyah is, she is a girl that was from Detroit, Michigan, who went missing January 9th of 2024. Guys, we are now at the end of January in 2025, so this little girl has been missing for over a year, and that in itself is heartbreaking. So she went missing last year. If you watch the preliminary hearing, that has all the background. You know, they interviewed police, they interviewed King, who was Jarvis's business partner. So we also heard from Jarvis's sister, we heard from Shannon, we heard from Annette, we heard from Jarvis's fiance, we heard from another one of Jarvis's baby's mom that he tore her car up. Okay. Sorry, I just have to say that he tore that woman's car up. So we heard from her, and all of them put this puzzle together for us to see, and it just was a sad picture when all the pieces were put together. Before I get into Ziyah, I do kind of want to talk about some of the surrounding characters in this case that I didn't do like an individual breakdown on. So I'll kind of like touch on that, and then I'll get into baby girl Ziyah. So I want to start with Jarvis's sister. I saw a lot of people negative things about her, and it was just kind of weird to me because to me, out of everyone that was on the stand, she was like the most genuine person. Like, I saw emotion from her. I could tell that this case really bothered her. I also feel like there was probably some guilt, you know, on her because she knows that she saw Ziyah one of the last days that she was seen, and as a sister, who I'm sure she knows a little bit about her brother's past, or a lot about her brother's past, she probably felt some type of way about that, guys. And even when, if you guys remember in the preliminary hearing, the judge and the defense team and the prosecution, they had to kind of step out and do like a little sidebar, and it was just her and Jarvis in the courtroom. And he just had his head down the whole time, writing notes or whatever it is that he's doing. And she's crying, guys, on the stand. And I just feel like there's probably so much she wanted to say to her brother that she couldn't say. And, you know, on that stand, I could definitely tell, you know, that she was irritated and annoyed, of course, with the prosecution, with the defense. But to me, I saw honesty. I saw emotion. She did not defend her brother like Shannon was doing. You know, she did not defend anything that her brother did. So I guess I'm lost and confused as to why people are shaming her or mad at her. And I just want some understanding on that. So if you yourself feel some type of way on that, I want to know. Or, you know, I just want to know a different perspective, because I definitely saw genuineness in this woman. And honestly, I feel like she probably has some guilt on her, meaning like she probably felt like, why didn't I question him? Why didn't I press this more? And guys, think about it. Jarvis has already went to jail in the past for doing things to kids, so she knows his past. That's her brother. So to me, in my heart of hearts, I do feel like she probably was feeling like, why didn't I press this? Why didn't I question him? Why didn't I get out the car and talk to this girl and be like, what are you doing up here? You know, something like that. So I do feel like when she was crying, you know, on the stand, she probably had to live in that realization that I didn't even question my brother. about who this girl was, and I know his past. On top of that, it was odd to me, not odd to me, like, she was kind of saying, like, her and her brother were not close, you know, but she's like, that is my brother, you know, so she probably wishes that she would have said something. And, you know, guys, we're in this case, so we do get the benefit of hindsight. Like, we get to see this unfold and say, I would have did this, I should have, you know, you should have did this. But when you're in the moment, guys, and we're all guilty of this, of feeling like something in the moment, and we kind of just let it go and we don't say anything. And I feel like that was her in that moment, you know. But my thing is this, so she said that she knows 8 of Jarvis's kids, right? On the stand when they were asking her if she was close with his children. She said 8 of them she kind of knows or may see more than the others. And out of that 8, I want to know how many are Shannon's kids. You know what I mean? I want to know how many of those 8 kids are Shannon's. Because if you fool with Shannon, then you have to know who Ziyah is. You know, because she lives with Shannon. So I'm just kind of curious about that. And I'm not like dinging his sister or anything like that. I'm just curious. That's all. I just kind of, now that I'm thinking about it, it's just kind of surprised that, you know, the day that she went up to the shop was her first time seeing Ziyah, you know, and I'm just kind of curious about that, because I just feel like, you know, if Ziyah lives with her brother's baby mom and they have 5 kids, and I think Shannon has the most kids with Jarvis, so she may have been around the longest. I feel like, and I think his sister's name was Tijuana. I'm just surprised that she didn't know who Ziyah was. And again, that's neither here nor there. That's just my thoughts. So yeah, to me, that woman showed emotion. That woman did not stick up for her brothers. There's no point where she was kind of making it seem like anything that he did was okay. You know what I'm saying? She didn't give that to me. She gave very genuine. And like I said, she's the only person in this whole thing who gave any type of emotion on that stand. So I'm not going to ding her, you know, for that. And I can tell that that woman feels sad. You know what I'm saying? For what happened to Ziyah. And to me, I feel like she really wishes that she could go back and say something. But now it's too late and she can't. So, you know, it is what it is. But to me, she's the only one who pulled at my heartstrings as far as emotion in this whole thing. I will also say, I think Jarvis's other baby mom, sorry, I don't know her name. But the one whose car he tore up, her, and she found the glasses in his car. I feel like she was being honest and genuine. You know, she admitted, like, yes, he took my car 2 days in a row. He tore my car up. My car did not look like that when it came back. Yes, those glasses were in there. And she was even trying to argue them down, like, no, I don't know about prescription. I don't know nothing. All I know is I saw these clear glasses in my car that my son was playing with, and he had my car. You know what I'm saying? So with those 2 women, I don't know. I just feel like they were being honest. I feel like they were being truthful. So I don't know what, you know, the tea is with these women, but I do feel like they were being honest and truthful. But I want to talk about Ziyah, but I just kind of wanted to bring up Tijuana, who was Jarvis's sister, because she is the realest one on that stand, and she is the only one who shed a tear for Ziyah. And she is someone who said she didn't even meet Ziyah. So for Annette and Shannon to have lived with this girl and not shed a tear speaks volumes to me. So I do feel like she felt like she should have said something to her brother, really pressed him about why this girl was here. You know, she's watching her getting in and out the car, and I'm sure she was thinking thoughts of like, this is weird. And she probably also was thinking like, oh my God, is my brother messing with this girl? You know, because like I said, she probably knows his past. That's his sister. And he had already went to jail, you know, behind stuff like that before. So I'm sure her antennas were up, but she just didn't say anything. And, you know, I kind of wish she would have. But then again, I mean, I don't know. Jarvis is not going to look at her in the eye and be like, yeah, you know, that's my little young tender. You know, I don't think that he would have been truthful in that. So, that's neither here nor there. But as the dust is settling and we're talking about all these characters in this case, I want to talk about Ziyah. And it's just so sad to me what happened to this young girl. As you can see, that's why I'm taking time out of my day to talk about the people in this case, to cover this case. Yes, I just started my YouTube channel and I'm super excited and I have a lot of stuff I want to get into, but I had to start with this. It's just been on my heart and on my mind since I heard about this case. So in this video, I'm gonna kind of wrap it up because I'm kind of I talking about it like day in and day out. It just kind of, it's a lot. So I just feel like I kind of want to end this segment and move on. So this one may be a little bit longer than the other video, because I want to talk about Ziyah. And I kind of want to get into a little bit of the text messages, not like linger on the explicitness of them, but just key things that stood out to me in those messages. So let's get into it. So with Ziyah Harris, she was 13 years old when she went missing last year, right, guys? Unfortunately, her mother could not take care of her. For whatever reason, I'm not gonna speculate. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't do like all this research on her mother to know why. I'm just not doing all that. So I don't know what her mother had going on. Also, her father couldn't take care of her either, and I just saw that he recently passed away, and that's sad to me too. So rest in peace to that gentleman, and I don't know his name, so I'm sorry guys, I don't, but just rest in peace to him, because he left this earth not knowing where or what happened to his daughter. So my heart breaks for that. Her mother is still living, so she does see all of these things that are going on. The mom is more low-key, she's not doing all these interviews, she's not speaking out, and I'm sure that she's really grieving her daughter. I'm sure that she feels a sense of guilt because she had to give up her daughter to get herself together, and thought she was making the right choice, thought that her daughter was going to be in good hands, you know what I mean, and protected. I also still want to know why Annette does not mess with her daughter, because that I was really thinking about that, because it's like, you deal with Shannon and 5 of your grandkids are with the file and you mess with Shannon. So Miss Annette boo, I don't know. I don't know. So I'm just curious. Sorry, that's just how my mind works. I'm nosy and I want to know. So anyway, moving on. I just kind of wanted to just continue to give more backstory as things are coming to my mind and as I'm kind of going over this case. So now Ziyah is in the hands of her grandmother Annette. She's also living with her Aunt Shannon in the house. In spite of everything that was going on, if you watched a couple of Ziyah's videos of her dancing and thing, I seen them here and there. I didn't look for them or scroll and watch them or anything like that. But from the ones that I seen, she always looks happy. It seems like that was her element. It seems like doing those videos made her happy. So it was good just to kind of see that side of her and, have video footage of her and just seeing her being a little kid, being a little girl and having fun in her life, in her short life. She was only on this earth for 13 years, and I hate speaking that way because we don't know where she's at. But the odds of her being alive are very slim, and if she is, thank God that she is still with us. But I'm leaning towards she's not with us, guys. So, that's just kind of what I'm leaning towards. So with Ziyah, it's just really sad, like I said, that she lived with 2 grown women who I just feel like just did not protect her. And knowing that her aunt knew about Jarvis's past still doesn't sit right with me. Again, guys, I understand if Shannon didn't know any of this about Jarvis, or Jarvis never went to jail in the past, that's one thing. But the fact that she knew about his past and she still had a relationship with this man, had her niece around this man. It just does not sit right with me at all. My heart breaks for Ziyah. When I was watching the preliminary hearing, the part that really gagged me, guys, was those text messages. When I listened to those text messages, like, it was so hard for me to even sit through any of that. And I was just looking at the TV like, huh? Baffled, mind blown. I've never seen anything like this, guys. Like, I don't follow up with with stuff like this, but this case, it just was very eye-opening to me on how we have to protect our children, and how us as adults, we have to really, really, really be careful who we lay down with, and who we procreate with, and who we have children with, and who we introduce our children to, because it's not okay. And we're gonna get really serious in this conversation, guys. Because I feel like this Ziyah Harris situation is causing our community to open our eyes and take a look at, why do we protect predators? Why are some women out here who really put a man before the safety of their children, or the safety of children that are in their care? And that is like crazy to me. I think that's the main thing that I don't understand. I mean, a predator's gonna predator. That's what they're gonna do. But as a woman, you have the option to not engage with people like this. And so the fact that in this case, most people who are predators, they don't just openly tell people that. Let's clock that. A lot of people are not gonna meet a woman and openly tell them, like, yeah, this is my past, this is my background. A lot of people are going to hide that or not disclose that. And I do feel like a certain percentage of people who do disclose that information, I feel like may really be trying to be transparent, and may really be trying to turn a new leaf. And so they're like, look, this is my past. I've done this, whatever. And me personally, I mean, respect to that person who's trying to change, but I'm still not going to be with, what I'm saying? I'm sorry. There's just certain boundaries and lines that I'm just not willing to give up to be with no man. Okay. So that's just me personally. So the fact that he, disclosed that to her, I feel like he was trying to see, how far he could go with this woman, and he went all the way. They had 5 children, and then, he ended up meeting Ziyah through this situation. So that's disheartening. So, we have to understand Ziyah's family situation to understand what happened to her. Something that's very odd to me and disheartening to me is the family setup. So in some of those text messages, we can clearly tell that Ziyah and Jarvis were clearly doing things in that house. And I don't even know how Ziyah got that comfortable to do that in the house, and Jarvis too, because there were 6 kids in that house and 2 adults. So I'm just kind of like, how do you get to a point where you feel that comfortable harming this girl in her own home with all of these people here? Because we know that those kids aren't going anywhere, right? That was those kids' home. So, and we know that they're not like getting picked up by anyone else or going anywhere else. So these kids are probably always in that house. So imagine what they were exposed to, or maybe what they seen. I do believe, and I think I said this in a video, I do believe that Jarvis did try to see Ziyah when Miss Annette was not in the house. I do kind of believe that Annette may have tried to set boundaries with Jarvis, and maybe she was clear to Shannon, like, of course he can come over and see the kids, but I do feel like maybe she was not playing with him being in her house. So I will give her that. So that just brings me to the point that the kids must have been in that home, and I do believe that Shannon was in the home when they were doing stuff, because it's like, I don't want to get into the text messages, but I think I might have to bring some of them up. So, do you guys remember in one of the text messages where Ziyah was like, and don't be in my room? So clearly he has been caught in her room. To me, I interpret that as like, I don't want to go through that again. We got in trouble. It was a big thing. So let's just not do all that. You know what I'm saying? So he clearly was caught in her room before. If you can read between the lines in the text messages, he definitely got caught in her room. And as I'm like talking this case through, I just really, really feel like they just knew what was going on. And I think that's the part that is the most sad in this case, is that a lot of people involved knew. And I mean, like King, I feel like he knew something inappropriate was going on, but turned a blind eye. I do feel like Jarvis's sister, when she saw Ziyah up at the shop, I'm sure she was really thinking, and probably, she probably knew that her brother was doing something strange with this girl, and she didn't say anything. Annette for not, running her household better, raising her daughters better, to want better in men. And so it's just really sad, to see all of that. And just very, very sad, guys. So with Ziyah, I want to say this. All of the things that Jarvis exposed her to, let's just say Ziyah was still living. Okay, we're going to assume that she's not, but let's say that she did. Think about all the trauma that she would have to undo as she became to be a young lady and a grown woman at some point. She was literally groomed by a grown man, and we don't even know what age it started, guys. Remember, when we saw the text messages, we got from 2022 to 2024 when she went missing. We don't know what age she was when Jarvis started grooming her. We don't know how he started grooming her. We don't know why she didn't tell her family, like when he first started doing inappropriate stuff. Like, that's what I want to know. I wish we had that information. Like, how old was she when this started? Did she say anything to her aunt and her grandmother? Did she say, like, hey, Uncle Jarvis is being inappropriate? Like, I want to know if that ever happened. So we don't know how long he's been doing this to this girl. So let's think about that. She's been intimate with a grown man her whole entire life. Remember, Jarvis has known her since she was 2 years old. And remember, it's facts that he messed with a 4-year-old. So that's why I'm saying her whole life. And when I mean her whole life, I mean probably since she lived with Annette and Shannon. That's all she knew. And we can tell that by the text messages. Those text messages, that's all she talked about. That's all they did. You know what I mean? And it's just sad to see and know that this is a 13-year-old girl talking to a grown man. And if we're talking about the text messages in 2022, this is an 11-year-old girl talking to a 40-year-old man. I'm in my 30s, guys, and I don't even talk to 40-year-old men. Or even when I was in my 20s. So I couldn't imagine being 13, talking to a 40-year-old man. So, we have to put all of that into perspective. And I'm saying this to say, and I don't want to sound mean, but what I want to say is I just feel like Ziyah's life would have been in shambles. You know what I'm saying? If she had continued living on like this. Like, think about it, guys. Like, it could have been to a point where when Ziyah was of age, you know, when she wasn't a teenager anymore, she probably would have been a grown woman still messing with Jarvis. And remember, we already talked about this. That family is messy. King messed with Shannon. Jarvis talked to Marquita, Shannon's twin sister. You know what I mean? They're messy. So they already have crossed boundaries. They already don't have loyalty to their family. So think about that. So Ziyah would have grown up to be entangled in that mess as well. It's like they're all entangled in Jarvis's grip. And I just don't see how she would have been able to get out of that. She was literally groomed from a young age. And she was in love with this man. She thought this was her babe for life. She wanted him all to herself. You know what I'm saying? Him all to herself. So imagine for years being groomed by this man. How is she going to get out of that trap? How is she going to get untangled from Jarvis? Even as an adult, even, you know, as she became a young lady. I just don't see it happening. I don't even see her wanting that to happen. I feel like at that point, you know, if she wanted to mess with him, she could and legally do it. And I feel like she would have, you know, because that's what she knew. I'm not saying it in a way of like she's trifling. I'm just saying like that's just what she knew. And that's what makes me sad, because with Ziyah, her case is so sad, because I feel like living or not living, it's just like both options were very gloom for her. And I think that's the saddest part. And think about all of the soul ties and all of the stuff that, you know, Jarvis exposed her to. Even if she did want to heal and get away from him, she would have probably had to have some extensive therapy. She probably, you know, it just would have been so much on her. And I think that's what's sad too, you know, is that she, man, this stuff is really deep, guys, you know, and I think that's why, like I said, this case is very sad to me. I've been thinking about this little girl, and if I just recently, when I was watching Ziyah, heard about the Ayanna Sawyer case, and it's just really crazy how similar these cases are, and really similar in how, you know, the family knew certain things, but they still allowed certain things, you know. And even in that case, that little girl was messing with her aunt's, you know, husband. She she was pregnant. They knew she was pregnant, even though she wasn't telling them. It was her uncle, and her family rallied around her. They were going to support her and raise this baby until they started doing the math and putting two and two together and being like, oh my God, you conceived around the time when you were at your aunt's house and the uncle was there. So, you know, they started putting two and two together, and she went missing. And her body still has not been found either. And he just got convicted of that. So, you know, it's just really sad and disheartening that these men get these little girls tangled up and caught up, you know. And like I said with Ziyah, you know, I was just thinking, like, yes, it's sad if anyone loses their life. So I don't want to sit here and say, like, that's good for her. No, I'm not saying that. We're just having a conversation. And I'm just thinking, like, I thought about it, and I was like, this girl didn't have a chance either way. And I'm not saying, like, her life couldn't have been fruitful and she couldn't have grown from this. But I just feel like Ziyah would have been caught up in Jarvis. And think about this, guys. Let's say Ziyah became a grown woman, continued to mess with Jarvis because she thought she was in love with him. Let's say she had kids by him. And repeating this cycle again, you know what I mean? And her having kids, and he, you know, it's just like, it goes on and on and on with this type of stuff. And with her, it's because she was taught this at a young age, and she didn't have love. She didn't have love from her aunt, from her grandmother, from anyone around her. And I'm not saying like they didn't love her, but I'm talking about there's a difference from, loving a family member and showing them love and providing a safe space for them. And that's what I mean by they didn't love her. You know what I mean? They were very selfish and they put themselves first and they put her in harm's way. So I just feel like with Naziah, as wrapped up as she was in Jarvis, and because she was groomed, I was just thinking like, okay, it just would have been a bad life. And like I said, I don't want to sit up here like I'm psychic and I know everything, and like I know that her life just would have ended up like that. But I'm just speculating and I'm just thinking like, okay, what if, this didn't stop? And this man would have literally had his grips on this little girl's life. And maybe potentially adding her to the list of being baby mamas. Because she was already pregnant at 13. So imagine if, she grew up to become a young lady and she still continued to mess with Jarvis. Because at that point, that would be her choice. And like I said, that family, everything that she was around was messy. So it's just really sad to me, this whole situation. And those text messages were even sadder because there were times in those text messages where Naziah would be telling Jarvis, like, I just want to lay with you, or I just want to hug, and you're being mean to me, and I just want somebody to love me. And as a grown man, I don't know how that didn't tug at his heart. Like, how he didn't snap out of it, like, oh my God, what am I doing to this girl? It's just really sad, guys. And I know she's not the only girl that this happens to. But I do like seeing videos on YouTube of people taking time out of their day to dissect this and talk about it and push it, guys. Because I'm a melanated woman. And our daughters, our babies, our skin color matters. And we deserve justice. And we need to heal as a community. Let's be real. I know a lot of Black families that have had similar things like this happen, and a lot of people involved in those scenarios will defend the predator, tell you to be quiet, and sweep it under the rug. Why? Because it probably happened to them and they don't know how to get out of this cycle, and I'm tired of it. We cannot be that in love with these men that we won't protect our own daughters against them. We cannot be that desperate as women. And I think that some men know this. That's why they prey on women. That's why they ask questions, Shannon, like, hey, this is my past, to see if you're going to be Bozo the Clown and still talk to him. Because they know that there's a lot of weak women out here that won't protect their children. And that's why I want to speak out on this case. Because I don't want to see this happening in our communities, guys. Where we're just turning the blind eye and allowing children to suffer. And be abused. And have trauma in their life. Not everybody who goes through stuff like this loses their life. And then they have to become adults and heal and have shitty relationships and all of these things because they have all of this trauma on them. And it's not fair. So this situation is causing us to talk about abuse, talk about predators, talk about family dynamics, talk about why things get swept under the rug. Talk about why, whenever Jarvis started doing this to Naziah, why didn't she feel comfortable talking to her grandmother? You know what I mean? And, it's just very sad to me. And I think it's really sad to me, guys, because, I'm in my 30s and I'm not a mother yet. And there's just no way that I could ever protect a man before my child, especially if they're coming to me and saying someone harmed them. You came from me. My job is to protect you. You have my likeness, you have my DNA. My job is literally to protect you. So there's no way that I could put a man before my duties as a mother, as an aunt, as a cousin, as a whatever. I'm always going to put a victim first, period. I don't know. But I just want to say, I wish all girls like Ziyah, like girls that are seeing this case who still have their life, speak up, get help, tell somebody. That is an inappropriate relationship. If someone is an adult and they are introducing you to stuff, that is an inappropriate relationship. If it's someone in your family, please tell on them. And if your family members are not sticking behind you, tell the school, tell someone else that can help you. And this is kind of making me somber, and I don't want to end my night like this. And maybe I will revisit this, but I don't know what else I can say, about Ziyah. I wanted to get into the text messages and all that, but I just feel like there's no need to get into that. We saw what happened. We heard what happened. If you want the tea, watch the preliminary hearing. I am drained. I am tired. But I do feel like this was a good eye-opener for our community to protect the children, to protect ourselves as women. Pick better men to procreate with. Put your children first. Put them in a safe space. Put them around men who want to protect them, not prey on them. And that goes for women too. I'm not just bashing men and saying they're the only ones. There's women predators too. But we need to really take our time and vet who we lay down with, who we have kids with, who we let watch our children. I don't care if it's family or not. So that's just my thoughts. My final thoughts on this is this girl was not protected. We've already said that. Her aunt is in shambles. I see a lot of stuff going on that I just don't even address, like the CPS and this and that. It's like, girl, whatever bed God is about to have for you to lay in, you're gonna have to just lay in it. To Jarvis, I hope you spend the rest of your life in jail. To King, I hope that you make amends and tell the police everything that you know, and that you use this as an experience to not engage and go into business with people like that, and that you need to do better with your daughters. Shannon, go to therapy. Figure out where your self-esteem was when you said yes to this man, and then sat up there and said he deserved a second chance, and now your niece is missing, and you act like you have no care in the world, and you're still putting money on his books. So like I said, protecting predators. And I just pray that the good Lord brings Ziyah home. Bring her body home, whole or whatever, but she deserves to be found. Jarvis, tell the police where she is if you hurt her. Well, we know you did, but just tell the police, please. There's no way you're getting out of this, Jarvis. You're not coming home. You did something to her. And you need to just go ahead and tell the police where she's at. Please. For her mother's sake. Her birth mother. Her mother deserves that. To know where her daughter is. Just tell them. And to everybody out here watching, hug your kids if you have them. Tell them you love them. Tell your kids to speak up if someone's doing something to them. Women, don't be so quick to have your children around men that you just met and you don't even know him yet. And if he's shady and he's telling you something, leave him alone. It's not worth your kids missing or something happened to them. Come on, guys. We cannot be this desperate. There's men out here who will love you and do you right and do your kids right. We do not have to go to the bottom of the barrel to be with a man. It's ridiculous.